everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from very hot Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to talk about a documentary on Netflix called Keep Sweet and Pray and Obey.
Yeah.
It's about the FLDS, that's the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
That's the polygamists, the ones who keep the polygamy alive.
Ooh, well, somebody has to do it, right?
Somebody's got to. We can't let the Muslims win in the polygamy war.
Oh, golly gee. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's
there's got to be still Muslims that do polygamy, right?
There are, yeah. Totally. Yeah. But first, Dan.
Okay.
I've got the story about a company by the name of Aurora Pro Services. It's in Greensboro. I believe that's North Carolina.
Okay.
And they like to do daily prayer with their employees.
Oh, gross.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Just a moment. Everybody goes into one room. They have a nice little prayer, and then
Of course, everybody would like it.
Who wouldn't like that?
Everybody would like that.
Oh, everyone.
We're all Christians here.
Except, of course,
this Greenboro. We're all Christians.
Right. Except John McGaha, who, which is a great name. McGaha.
Did you just have a stroke?
He's an atheist.
And
he was working for these people.
Oh, God.
And he ends up complaining after the meetings, the prayer meetings, which had started, they would run about 15 minutes in length.
Oh, my God.
Which is too much. But
get it over with. Jesus Christ.
But he said that's how much, when they were 15 minutes long, they were tolerable on some level. Right?
When they were, I do not like where this is going.
They sort of started getting longer and longer and wound up being about 45 minutes. Sometimes even longer, but averaging about 45 minutes. And he finally...
Did they do any work at this company?
They prayed, Dan, and then they were so productive after they prayed. In fact, on occasion, the prayers were offered for poor performing employees who were identified by name, right?
Oh my God. And Lord, please bless Jason, who is a terrible worker, that he will be improved and that his bad job at our fine factory will do better, because God damn, he's a terrible guy.
Yeah. And Nancy's not meeting her sales quotas. Got to pray for Nancy.
Jesus, that is harsh.
Yeah. So people are being singled out and prayed for. So he finally goes to the owner of the company and asks to be excused from those parts of the meeting that pertain to religion because of his own personal conflict with it.
Guess who's getting prayed for the most now?
I know. The owner refused and told him, quote, it would be in his best interest to do so, meaning go to the meetings.
Did ominous music play as he said that? It would be in your best interest. Yeah.
McGaha, it just started to grate on him again, and about a month later, he asked to be excused again. The owner told him that he didn't have to believe in God, or nor did he have to like the meetings, but he had to participate.
Look, if I'm going to shame members of my staff, I need everyone to be there to hear it.
McGaha refused and was fired. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Equal opportunity.
Is he suing?
Yep. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing on his behalf. It's seeking a jury trial. And they're going after these guys. But of course, in these United States, as they currently exist under an illegitimate Christian nationalist court, Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
How can you say they're illegitimate just because they lied to get into the
Just because
get
they
onto the
lied,
bench?
just because over half of them were appointed by presidents who didn't get majority vote. Yeah. I'm willing to say they're illegitimate.
Oh my God, that is shocking. Shocking. Speaking of that illegitimate court, man, they've been busy. And I'm going to just quickly
Yeah,
round up two of their recent rulings.
Okay.
One of them, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are aware of, which is that they ruled that a coach who was praying on the 50-yard line of the football field could do so. They ruled that it was wrong for the school district to not allow this, even though, obviously. So, I'm sure our listeners are familiar with the arguments here, but obviously, as a representative of the school, he is an employee of the state, and therefore, because of church-state separation, him inviting, quote, in air quotes, his team to come and pray with him is tantamount to coercion, and that is tantamount to destroying the separation of church and state. That is state endorsement of a specific religion. That's against that. We have this founding document, which the right pretends to revere, and then decides that it only applies to them.
Well, they do the Bible.
Right.
That's it, right? You don't
that's the
follow
real
the
founding
whole
document.
Bible. You don't do the
Well,
whole
yeah.
Bible. You just you enforce the parts you like. Ignore the
That's
parts
right.
you don't like, right?
That's right.
That's their read
And-
of the U.S. Constitution, right?
Yeah, basically. So basically they said that because this particular coach was doing it after the games, it was like after the games, and he was just like, people are milling about.
Oh, there's milling
So-
about happening?
There was milling.
Oh, yeah, fair game. Go and pray.
It wasn't official school time anymore. The game was over.
Right.
So
okay. So, but it was still on school grounds by a school official with students. And let's see what else.
No. Yeah. This one was an easy layup if we had a court that actually cared about the laws of the land, but alas, we don't.
Well, here's what we need, Dan. We need
Yeah.
a Muslim coach to start getting all Allah Akbar all over his football team, and let's see where that one goes.
Yeah. I think I would love that. That person wouldn't make it to the Supreme Court because they would be dead. Do not forget that.
Probably fired for praying with the kids.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And then murdered because
he prayed with the kids.
Because he prayed his Islam. He prayed a Sharia at him.
Shit.
Anyway, now I'm not going to leave it at just one of the scary. There have been a lot of scary rulings. We've talked about the Roe v. Wade thing and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the Supreme Court did decline to take up a case by a group called the Coral Ridge Ministries, formerly Truth in Action.
I'm sure it was.
They were they have been suing the Southern Poverty Law Center and Amazon and GuideStar, which is a website that rates charities. They had been suing because Southern Poverty Law Center had put them on had labeled them a hate group.
No.
And you'll be shocked by this. They were labeled a hate group just because they said horrible, awful things about how gay people should be killed. It's unfair.
Hate?
It's just unfair. And then, of course, because they were labeled a hate group, Amazon wouldn't let them fundraise via Amazon Prime.
Oh,
And-
no.
Yeah. So they sued for defamation.
Mm.
You can't say that we're a hate group just because we display horrible hate. And this,
I thought defamation has to be false.
right?
Isn't that a
Correct.
thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's not defamation if it's true.
Uh,
So anyway,
That's
I
gonna
mean,
be a
these are
fun
people
one.
who said things like gay people deserve death, gay people are all pedophiles, all of those sorts of tropes.
yeah.
So
Oh, wait, you said the Supreme Court didn't take that one up.
they didn't take it up, which means that
Oh.
the Southern Poverty Law Center is in the clear. The ruling stands. It is not defamation.
You know, though, what I'm happy
I'm a little
about-
shocked. What's up?
what I'm happy about is that poor Amazon. That could have been just awful for them.
Well, yeah. I
So-
think when you make Amazon one of the co-defendants, suddenly the Southern Poverty Law Center can like relax their legal team a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll let the big boys carry this one. I mean, that may be truly that may be why the Supreme Court didn't take it up. They're like, oh, there's a billionaire involved. Well, we'll just let him go do whatever he needs to do.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we got going on here? We have Boebert. Lauren
Oh my
Boebert.
God.
Representative Lauren Boebert, Republican of Colorado.
Why do I know the name Boebert? I, in my whole life, should never have heard the name Boebert.
It does stick in your ear, though, doesn't it? Like,
Alas.
it's Boebert.
Boebert. Like that is the name of a goofball character in an 80s sitcom. Hey, Boebert.
God. Well, in a speech this last week at the Cornerstone Christian Center in Basalt, Colorado. Basalt? What is it?
Probably Basalt.
Basalt, yeah. Okay. It took me a minute. She got up and she had some things to say about basically, it sounds like the theme of the show this week, separation of church and state. Well, she's sick and tired of this idea of separation of church and state. She calls it.
Sure is.
She actually calls it separation of church and state junk. That's not in the Constitution. It was a stinking letter, and it means nothing like they say it does. And of course, the audience was very receptive. Let's see. She also,
in case anyone's wondering, the phrase separation of church and state, that phrase, she's right. That's not in the Constitution.
No,
that is
yeah.
from a letter
yeah,
that Thomas Jefferson wrote.
yeah. And while he was
The
president,
concept of the separation of church and state is very much in the Constitution of the United
oh,
States.
absolutely. She
Though
also
not anymore. Not with this. Not. It used to be. It's not anymore.
She also goes on to say, the reason we had so many overreaching regulations is because the church complied. The church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. That is not how our founding fathers intended it. And, well, she's, of course, wrong about that. What's interesting about this whole thing is that one of her fellow congressional Republicans, Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, chimed in about her speech. He's condemned her comments and compared them to the views of the Taliban.
Yeah.
This is what he tweeted. There is no difference between this and the Taliban. We must oppose the Christian Taliban. I say this as a Christian.
Wow.
So there might be, I don't know, something else going on in the Republican Party if Adam Kinzinger is not alone. Hopefully he's not alone. Hopefully,
he is alone.
Some of
because
these Republicans, though, they need desperately to start speaking out because it's not all of them.
Yeah, but Kinzinger's the guy who like betrayed the rest of the Republicans and is on the January 6th committee.
Well, yeah, that's true. So he like
might as well be
the one reasonable, along with Liz Cheney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but thank God for them. They're
Yeah.
both speaking. Did you see the Liz Cheney primary debate?
no,
Oh my God! Everyone, go Google Liz Cheney primary debate. There's a clip. There's a little compilation of the quote unquote lightning round where they just start throwing out hot button issues and letting everybody say things. And it is 3 absurd QAnon insane people and then one and just exhausted Liz Cheney going, okay, you guys, no. It's just, no, we should take vaccines. They help us against the pandemic. Oh my God. It is just, and she's going to be voted out.
Yeah.
She is almost certainly going to be voted out as a rhino, as a, Republican in name only or whatever. And she's like literally just saying common sense reality. She's just confronting people with reality.
Who would have thought a Cheney?
I know. Believe me, she's no peach.
No, I know.
She's awful, and yet she's the hero of the January 6th hearings.
I mean, that's just it, right? Though, like, we just need principled people, enough of them. I know it's never going to be the whole of, and it probably maybe never was the majority. But they all acted like
any political
party, political body, what have you, right? But we need them to be acting like they're principled,
right?
And right now,
we need to at least expect them to pretend.
Yeah. And that broke. That is broken.
Yeah,
they're not even acting like it anymore.
Oh my God, it's absurd. Yeah, they're saying all of the quiet parts out loud. Yeah. They're saying we don't want separation of church and state. Mm-hmm. You are supposed to pretend like you do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all broken. All right. Well, our country is not the only country where everything's broken. So I will take us to India, where a pilgrimage is taking place, a holy pilgrimage. I want you to imagine, if you will, the men in big orange robes with big orange turbans and white beards.
Yeah. Okay.
Walking to a cave in the Himalayas. That has ice. It has a perpetual ice stalactite hanging inside.
Really?
That they have named Lingam.
Wow.
Which is an incarnation of Shiva.
Oh,
God,
okay.
Apparently, ice can also be an incarnation of a god.
I mean, really, anything can, Dan.
Anything can.
You don't limit your imagination, Dan.
Well, the Hindus tend not to, except about certain things. Here's the thing. Ours is not the only country where nationalism connected to the majority religion is an issue, is a problem. And in that country, they've had issues with it for a while now, including every now and then on some of these pilgrimages. There have been attacks because this pilgrimage is used as a sort of way of taking over more territory from the Muslim minority there in the country. So this particular pilgrimage is now being monitored by armed police and military with fully automatic machine guns, drones. They have trackers on the pilgrims themselves. And lest you think that these pilgrims are just sweet old men trying to practice their faith, here I have quoted one Hindu ascetic named Rajinder Sharma, who says, quote, "I prayed last time," and this was a couple of years ago because the pandemic stopped it for a couple of years. "I prayed the last time that Article 370 must go, and it happened." Which Article 370, you're praying for politics right now. They're not even pretending that they're in it for like the religious, we love people or what. No, they're in it for politics. Article 370 is what gave Kashmir, the region of Kashmir, semi-autonomy.
Okay.
But it was revoked by that peach of a guy, Narendra Modi, who is the Hindu nationalist prime minister. So this guy is like, now I will pray that our country becomes a Hindu nation.
Mm.
So,
well, he has a track record, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. His prayers work.
yeah, this is the guy to listen to. This is the guy, yeah, that clearly some important deities like to listen to too.
The more religious nationalism we have in the world, the more that we're going to have violence. It's going to happen in this country. It's been happening there. In 2017, gunmen fired at a bus carrying Hindu pilgrims.
Well, did you see the thing with the beheading last week?
I don't think I did.
The Hindu barber, I believe it was.
Oh my, what?
That the 2 Muslim guys went in and beheaded him and posted the video on social media.
Yikes. Yeah. Things are going to get worse before they get better, people.
Yeah. Hope I didn't get that. I feel like that was the Hindu and those were the Muslims. I feel like that's right.
But the violence goes all of the directions.
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely. Yep.
Yikes.
Yo. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I've got another separation of church and state story.
Okay.
This time down in Florida.
Oh God. I'm not looking forward to this.
Their peach of a governor, Ron DeSantis, and the Florida Department of Education have announced that the state will be hosting 10 regional 3-day civics professional learning training sessions for 2,500 teachers this summer, wherein they will be, quote, aligned to the revised civics and government standards.
Oh, God.
That
this
the state
is not good.
Is pushing, including revisions to the state curriculum about the separation of church and state, saying, of course, the training includes the phrase that it was a, quote, misconception that the founders desired strict separation of church and state. And
yeah, it's not like they all didn't actually write about it very specifically in other places.
DeSantis said that the new civic education was pushing back on the woke indoctrination of children and said kids in the state were learning, quote, real history. We're unabashedly promoting civics and history that is accurate and that is not trying to push an ideological agenda.
Right. Like the work of that fine historian and non-ideologue Lauren Boebert, who
absolutely. Yeah. Apparently the teachers are being told, quote, this is the way you should think.
Wow. Wow. It is just quiet part out loud all day, every day.
Yep.
Here in these United States.
Apparently there are graphics that illustrate George Washington and Thomas Jefferson being opposed to slavery while also failing to mention that they owned slaves.
Yeah, they were real, they worked real hard about that.
But anyway, like I'm just like, anyway.
It's absurd.
Literally,
we have descended into terrifying absurdity.
Yeah.
Well, okay, since we're on the American politics train, I might as well do this one.
What else is there right now? I couldn't find anything else.
honestly. Here's a funny one. Listeners will recall that we talked about how in California, some very grumpy Catholic bishops decided that they would deny House Speaker Nancy Pelosi her cracker and wine, her weekly cracker and wine, her beloved sacred Eucharist, the communion. They were going to not give her communion.
Right.
Well, she went over their heads.
What? How? Oh, did she go to the Pope?
She was in Rome, baby.
Oh,
she went to a mass presided over by Pope Francis, his goddamn self, and took communion there.
Did she wink at the camera while she was? Like,
I hope she pointed directly at it and just whispered the name of the other bishop. I hope she was like chewing the cracker and just being like, "Yeah, buddy, how do you like me now?" I think that is such a funny, dopey power move, but I kind of love it.
That's amazing. It's wonderful.
I just think that is I mean, it's such a slap. Like, you cannot come up with a better slap in the face of a Catholic bishop than to have the Pope do the thing that they have said they cannot do because of their firmly held religious beliefs. And then the Pope's like, yeah, but why though?
Yeah.
And of course, I guess I should make it explicit that the reason that she was being denied this the communion was because she supports abortion rights in these United States. It's explicit on that front. And then Pope Francis is like, yeah, but shut up. Just give the woman her communion.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Give the uppity woman her communion.
So there you have it.
I don't mean it, everyone.
No. We would never use the term uppity. Anyway, listen, friends, if you've been denied communion, or if you've taken communion, you can tell us all about it. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the address.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank.
Dan.
Look, there's a guy. His name is Nick Fuentes.
Oh.
He is not a good human.
Okay.
We've played his clips before. I frequently shy away from playing his clips because part of the deal is that I can't tell who he's trolling.
I can't tell that deep of a troll. Okay.
He is such a troll. He's a self-proclaimed troll, but he is such a troll. I don't know I don't think he's on a side. He acts like he's a right-wing nutball, but he says such outrageous shit out loud, and then it feels like he's trying to get right-wing people to admit to things that they shouldn't admit to, but that are true. Anyway,
but
this
he's
is
so
a prime
deep
example.
In character, right?
Yeah, he's an obvious psychopath. He is a terrible human, no matter whose side he's on. Anyway, here's what some people heard and probably agreed with recently.
The Supreme Court has a blueprint to revisit all those decisions and say, guess what? It's not in there. So that means that banning gay marriage is back on the menu. Banning sodomy is back on the menu. Banning contraceptives is back on the menu. And basically, we're having something like Taliban rule in America, in a good way. We're having something like a Catholic Taliban rule in America.
Well, hooray!
Finally! They've made it to our shores.
Thank God we got... I mean, not the bad Muslim kind.
No.
It's the good Catholic kind.
Yes.
That's the brand you want.
The warm, cuddly kind of Taliban.
Of hateful Taliban. I mean, and what is this guy's problem with contraception? I do not understand everybody's issue with contraception. They may actually be coming for contraception, you know.
It's wild.
Clarence Thomas mentioned the ruling that made contraception legal.
Mm-hmm.
In things that he was going to come after. I don't like this timeline. We need to back up and start over. Take another run at it.
I know.
Anyway, we had some folks write into us and call into us. You and I talked about bumper stickers and things that we could display.
Yeah, we got quite the response
to combat. Yeah, we got a bunch of responses. We can't get to everything, but we'll just power through some of the ideas. Max in Mississippi suggested E pluribus unum, which the previous national motto. Now it's just in God we trust, but it was E pluribus unum. Out of the many One.
Yeah.
Which
great.
is a great, I mean, it embraces multiplicity and plurality, and anyway, of course, that's a great idea. Bonnie sent in a some pictures, because we mentioned Subarus being the liberal bumper sticker palette of choice.
Not F-150s.
Right. Bonnie sent in a picture from New York of a Subaru with a New York license plate that said oil bad, which is delightfully ironic. Thank you, New Yorker, for not noticing that,
You're driving an oil-powered vehicle.
driving a gas vehicle. That's great. And then, but also a Subaru from Alaska with a bunch of drain the swamp and my guns, blah, blah, blah stickers.
Yeah.
So even non-liberals apparently are allowed to own Subarus.
Use them as billboards for their political ideas. Actually, our voicemail is along these lines. We should just play.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's throw that into the mix.
Hey, Frank and Dan, this is Margaret from Texas calling you from my Subaru, which has Beto for Texas stickers on it. So we do have our Subarus with bumper stickers still. All right, have a good one. Bye.
There you go.
Yep.
How's Beto doing? Do we know how he's doing?
I don't know. I hope well.
Oh my God, not well enough.
Yeah.
These should be easy choices, people. Good Lord. All right. We also talked about flags in that, and an Army vet wrote in to us about that and said, "Dear Frank and Dan, I'm an Army vet. I used to feel pride when I saw the American flag. My dad had one attached to his car in the 90s during Desert Storm. I lowered my college's flag to half-mast on September 11th after the terrorist attacks. I've been part of the color guard for the national anthem of professional sporting events. I've led funeral honors teams and presented the flag from the coffin to the next of kin. I've taken dead soldiers off of helicopters that had a flag attached to their body bag. Now, the flag no longer has that meaning to me. I now see it as a symbol of bigotry and hate. It has been bastardized by conservatives. It's been used to promote police with the blue stripe on it, which ironically is against flag code.
No kidding.
That's something I just can't understand. This Army vet makes the right point. The very people that are angry about athletes taking a knee are themselves disrespectful to the flag.
Yep.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing to me. This is the same thing. It is pandemic it is more than an Omicron thing, more than coronavirus. The pandemic in our country is people doing the thing that they claim to hate but carving out the exception for themselves. When I do it, it's fine, but the way you do it is not okay.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I saw a tweet the other day that was from someone who had worked in an abortion clinic. And literally said, everybody who works in an abortion clinic has given abortions to women who, or people with, well, I'm sure they say women because they're right wingers, who tell the people at the clinic how evil they are the entire time they're there while they're getting an abortion.
Good God.
This is not an uncommon thing. Their abortion is fine, but the doctor is going to hell for doing abortions, and everyone else in the in the waiting room is evil, and all these fucking hypocrites. That the absurdity of it is beyond the pale.
Yeah.
We had Reese write into us from New Zealand. I think that's great. If you are Reese Darby, you have to tell us. You know that, right? If any of you are a famous person listening to this show, you have to tell us, right? We don't have to put it on the air, but you have to tell us, right? That's the law. That is just morality right there. Anyway, Reese writes in, Kia ora, Frank and Dan. I assume that's a New
greeting
Zealand thing.
Yeah.
Greetings from Aotearoa. I don't know how to say. I
Wow,
assume that
man.
is how you say New Zealand in maybe a Maori language.
I have no
but
idea.
I didn't actually bother to look it up. So there you go. A story I always this is Reese. A story I always liked about what happens to someone's body. Oh yeah, we're going back to the disposal of bodies. We've talked about this on a few episodes. A story I always liked about what happened to someone's body is that of the Swedish American labor activist, Industrial Workers of the World leader and songwriter who in 1915 was murdered by firing squad in your own Salt Lake City.
That's true.
Prior to his execution, Joe Hill sent a telegram asking, "Goodbye, Bill. I die like a true blue rebel. Don't waste any time in mourning. Organize. Could you arrange to have my body hauled to the state line to be buried? I don't want to be found dead in Utah."
Yeah.
This is all true, by the way.
Yep.
I did a play about Joe Hill.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Huh.
We sang his songs and everything. Anyway, in accordance with his last will, a poem that he also wrote in prison, his body was taken to Chicago, where it was cremated, and the ashes were then separated into 600 envelopes and sent to IWW branches and other workers' organizations all over the world and scattered into the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this is interesting, an envelope of the ashes was found in 1989 in the U.S. National Archives.
Oh, wow.
And part of these were again distributed and scattered. Part was weirdly eaten.
What?
And part was used in the construction of a wall in a Swedish union hall. Anyway,
Nice.
Joe Hill, kind of a local folk hero, as an underground folk hero. But yeah, he was killed. He was executed by the state.
Yeah.
For a murder that he almost certainly did not commit.
Correct. Yeah. Kia ora. Dan.
Yeah.
It translates on Google Translate to hello in English.
Okay.
And you were right. However you say Aotearoa or whatever, that's the name for New Zealand in Maori.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
Taroa.
Yeah.
Anyway, love
Just
it.
wanted to make sure we were correct on that.
Thanks, Reese. I appreciate that. We got an email from Davis. This is Davis, whose name you yell at the top of your lungs during our patrons section.
Okay.
Who says, to your comments last week, it absolutely pisses me off that the Trumpers have hijacked the American flag. I think that we have to take it back from them, and to do so, we should all be flying it as well, so it becomes normal again. But in addition, we should hang a second flag below it, reflecting our version of the country's direction. Add a rainbow, Black Lives Matter, an anti-Trump Tucker fucker flag, whatever. Just so long as it reminds people that having an open mind and empathetic heart is truly American. Okay, maybe a Tucker fucker flag isn't very empathetic, but screw him. And then, okay, so there's that. Then Davis wrote a thing that I am heartbroken about. Which is, P.S., I remember an episode a couple of years ago when a listener mentioned getting PTSD every time he heard the church organ in your podcast. Well, I'm going to say that Dan is giving me PTSD every episode when he closes with, "Appreciate ya." And I bet every Utah listener will agree with me. Here's how seriously Davis is taking this. I will pledge to double my current giving over the next 4 episodes if Dan agrees to stop saying it. So for those of you who are outside of the state of Utah, you may not know that what I'm doing is participating in the culture that I grew up in, because appreciate ya is it's just a very Mormon thing to say. It doesn't have any actual like theological or
just local
religious
dialect.
significance. It's just how a Mormon housewife might say,
Appreciate ya. Sure do appreciate ya.
"Well, we appreciate you coming by. Thanks for the casserole. We sure do appreciate you." I don't know if I can agree to not say it.
Oh no, Dan.
Okay, fine. I don't want to give someone's a PTSD episode. I don't want to make people feel like they're back in their worst times growing up in Orem or whatever.
You should just say it in standard, North American English.
We sure do appreciate you.
Exactly. Just say it like that.
As opposed to appreciate you. We'll see what we can do, Davis. Up your giving anyway. Just do it. We will appreciate you if you do that. And then finally, Christopher wrote into us to say, we were talking about bumper stickers. This is Christopher's. It is hard for me to let people know how I really feel about things. I like to go hunting, and I'm very certain I am the only guy at the clubhouse who did not vote for Trump. I'm afraid I won't get the good fields anymore at the pheasant club. If people find out, if that happens, even my dog might hate me. I wish I was brave enough to put a giant atheist sticker next to my CA Waterfowl and Ducks Unlimited sticker. There is one flag I wish we could steal from the Trump lovers out there, the Gadsden flag. They love to wave that "don't tread on me" around, talking about how they want small government. I think it would be awesome if people started waving around rainbow and white Gadsden flags to tell them, we don't want your big God-loving government telling LGBTQ community that they are not equal, or we don't want the big God-loving government to force you to have a baby even if you were raped. The government should not have that authority over people. Just my 2 cents. That Gadsden flag, that's an interesting point. It has definitely been co-opted by a bunch of people who don't understand its significance or what it was.
Don't tread on me.
The "don't tread on me." And for those of you who don't know, it's a yellow flag with a very badly rendered rattlesnake coiled up, ready to pounce. But for whatever reason, it's so stupid. I don't want it just because that snake looks so dumb.
Well, I looked it up. The Pride version of it already exists.
Oh,
it is out there. You can just get on Amazon and order one.
There you go.
It's already there. The other one that I was thinking of is Unite or Die?
Oh,
that would be an interesting one.
Live Free or Die?
I don't know what it is, but
I don't know.
The one that's like for the colonies to all join together. And it's like, maybe we need unity right now. Maybe.
Well, so Christopher, who wrote that, so I'm transitioning here. We also need to thank Christopher, because Christopher is going to be a deacon, you guys. Ooh. We are conferring the priesthood upon Christopher because Christopher has given us some of his hard-earned money. We appreciate you. That's one less duck for you and one more for us. So thank you so much. You now have the magic powers that you needed to get on with your daily life. Also, Cole has given us a one-time donation over on PayPal and is a deacon as well. Thank you so much, Cole. You two are amazing.
Yes,
they have joined the ranks of those who go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab, and then give us their money so that we can keep doing this for your listening pleasure.
Yes, and we have one other person to thank: our Lord and Savior, Dan, our top donor, Davis.
Oh, I am not going to say the phrase that I really want to say right now, Davis. But I do appreciate you. I'm going to keep saying that.
All right, stick around. There is more show coming up.
So, Frank.
Dan.
I made you watch a show
that I was already watching.
Well, you were going, yeah, but I was, no, wait. When I first brought it up to you, you had not watched any of it.
Right, but when it was on our queue, like we were going to watch it. So.
This is it is a Netflix documentary called Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. Yeah. And it is about the FLDS, the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, under the leadership of Warren Jeffs. Mm-hmm. And it is cuckoo bananas. I tell you what, you and I are pretty well informed, Frank, about this stuff. Mm-hmm. we live in the state where they originated. We're from, a religion that is cut from the same cloth, if wildly altered since the break away. But my God, even I was shocked at certain things.
Yeah. It's they were a little kooky with how far they took things, weren't they?
Were and probably still are. I mean, they're definitely, I think they've dwindled in number, but they still exist.
Yeah.
You and I have both separately been to Short Creek, which is their which used to be their stronghold town on the border of Utah and Arizona.
Yes.
Down in the middle of nothing. And it's an interesting place. If you drive around the town, and there are two cities that make up the Short Creek, and Utahns do say crick, not creek, the Short Creek area. There's Colorado City, Arizona, and what's the Utah one?
Hilldale,
Utah.
Yeah.
And if you drive around it, woo, what you see is really big, badly built houses, frequently behind, 7-foot tall, opaque walls.
Yeah.
It's compound land.
Yeah, well, that's where they went. And I didn't realize that there had been sort of an exodus in the early 2000s. I was unaware of that part of the story.
Yeah, they were sort of scattered around. They stayed in northern Utah for a while.
Yeah.
And then they decided that they needed their own place, and boy did they find it. They just took over this tiny little area.
Well, I think it had always been kind of a polygamous town, right? It's not, they didn't just invent the idea of let's go to Short Creek, right?
Right.
As polygamous. It's just such a remote area that I'm fairly confident there had always been some polygamous presence there. But yeah, you're right. It hadn't been much of a town. It was probably much more just a little compound of some kind.
Yeah, a couple farms, whatever.
And then, they had the fundamentalists had sort of just always been up in, suburban Salt Lake or Salt Lake City itself.
Yeah.
And I had always heard that estimates of 50, 60,000 polygamists in the Salt Lake Valley.
Huh.
And obviously that's not how many people moved down there. So there's still a lot up here if the numbers have held. I mean, I drive around a lot, and I do see in certain parts of the valley obvious polygamous houses.
And you can, and also you can, you go to Costco and you can, when there's 4 older women, all with their hair done the same way, all in dresses of, a single solid color fabric.
Yeah.
And then, 30 children running around with them. And they're clearly shopping for 1,100 humans.
Right. For dinner, for that night's dinner. They shop every day.
It's kind of absurd. It's a lifestyle that I'm glad I'm not living, but it's fine for them. But what's not fine is, holy shit, everything.
Yeah.
Everything about their lives is not okay. And boy, it just shows you how, when you push things to the logical extreme, it just becomes crazy.
Yeah.
Things just go nuts. I highly recommend this documentary. It is great.
It's well done.
And each episode, it's a 4-parter?
4 episodes. Yep.
And each episode, just, you don't think there's room to ratchet it up further.
Yeah.
But they do.
Yeah.
It just gets. But I mean, the big things that we're talking about, so things that we knew about were the giving away of underaged girls to overaged men.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 14-year-old girl being given in marriage to a 50-something-year-old man.
Or older. Like the story of the one woman in the film who was married to Warren Jeff's father in his final years of his life. And he was in his 80s or something. And,
so gross.
And they go into detail of wedding night, and it's not cool. Like
Yeah.
super gross. But she was and it's interesting how they talk about the times when Rulon Jeffs was still in charge, and those were sort of the good old days, right? When the brides were
everything
only
was fine.
16 years old, right?
Right. Yeah, his son made it worse. How is this possible?
Yeah, you
Literally,
14-year-olds.
Well, and there are also stories that people, and this show mentions it, but didn't focus on it much. They would kick young men out of the community.
Yeah, I remember
for
when that
anything.
Was happening. Yeah,
and they kick them out when they're teens. They have no education, exactly zero education. They do not know how any of the rest of the world works.
They know
they have no
construction.
money.
They usually know construction. That's
Yeah,
the one.
okay,
They
so
know
they-
how to build things.
They know how to build bad-looking homes, but almost no skills. They have nothing, and they are just ejected
Mm-hmm.
from the only community they've ever been allowed to know.
Yeah,
Into
very
a world that,
insular community.
yeah, no TV. They don't know what the rest of the world looks or smells like.
Yeah.
And the reason is because there ain't enough girls to go around.
Yeah. Of course they're not. Yeah.
There's a math problem when every man wants 5 women.
Yeah.
And so like there's
But the whole cruel ejecting of them, that was a Warren Jeffs thing. Like,
Yeah.
in prior times, they just sort of allowed that to sort of sort itself out.
right.
Like, still not cool, but no, the thing
Yeah.
that I thought was bizarre while watching it for me was, I mean, this is obviously very foreign to our religious experience, even though it's an offshoot of
that's
Mormonism. But at the same time, very, like, I understood it. I understood what was going on. And it's not just because of exposure to like the news and having, some awareness of a lot of these incidents and how they were being reported at the time.
No.
It literally, there's something very Mormon about
deeply familiar about it all.
about their whole thing. It's really fucking weird. The veneration of the prophet and the just
and the deep pressure to not be allowed to question the prophet.
Yeah.
To the point even in the face of genuine absurdities. I've been using the word absurd a lot in this in this episode. I just can't handle how crazy everything is.
Yeah.
Rulon Jeffs, Warren Jeffs' dad, the prophet of the church, who was 1,000 years old, they all believed, and I'm sure most of them genuinely believed, he was supposed to live forever.
Yeah. Boy, that is such a weird claim to make. I don't
It
care
is a bizarre claim to make.
Yeah. Because I mean, yeah, I guess you personally will never have to face the consequences of you saying you're going to live forever.
Right?
Right? Because it's all going to happen.
Because then it's their problem.
Yeah.
When you're dead.
But like, you gotta know, like, that's, unless you actually know something, right? Which,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he thought he did, maybe. I mean, was he just
Maybe.
flat out lying? Was he just flat out, like, got caught
I
up
don't
in the
know.
moment and said it and then was like, oh, God, well, I just created a pickle for the next one,
Yeah. I can't imagine what's going on in the mind of someone who says, I am going to live forever.
Yeah.
But there it is. He said it. Many of them believed it. So when he did fucking die,
Yeah.
you'd think everyone would be like, oh, this is all bullshit. I'm going.
No, but Warren had it all figured out. He knew how to navigate those waters. He
Yeah.
basically started to suggest that he was his dad. I mean, he
He
took his
kind of-
dad's wives, a lot of them.
Yeah, he kind of vaguely suggested that, and then very overtly suggested that anyone who went against him was going to be slaughtered. Not murdered, but like just eviscerated by the community. And everyone was terrified and they fell in line.
Yeah. Wild.
It is, and the thing is that this is a tale that that is true all over the world. The thing There is an event. This happened with the Millerites, who then went on to be the Jehovah's Witnesses and others. This Miller guy proclaimed when the second coming or when the end of the world was going to happen. Right. Proclaimed it, gave an actual date. Everybody, all of his followers went up onto a hill to watch annihilation.
Yeah.
And when it didn't happen, they stayed.
It's wild, isn't it?
They didn't leave. This is a quirk of human psychology that once you're in, once you've bet on it, you stay in.
Yeah.
And it's almost always the wrong choice.
Yeah.
It's the Monty Hall problem, right? You always choose the other. You always switch doors. You guys can look that one up. That's a deep cut there. But yeah, it is our brains suck at this kind of shit. Once we've declared that something's a part of our identity, you can literally put proof in their faces of the wrongness of their belief system, and they will still hold to it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're up against. We who have actually had to face that cognitive dissonance and then gone, oh, right, we were wrong. Now we're stuck with all of these people who can't be convinced that they were wrong because emotionally and psychologically, it's just too difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it extends to everything, right? Like
it extends to everything.
It's
absolutely.
Politics. Especially current American politics.
Yeah.
Once we've identified with a group, and that group is our identity now, right?
Yeah.
You are Republican. You are Democrat. And it just shapes everything. And it's incredibly difficult to go against it. And for these folks, Jesus Christ, they knew nothing else.
Yeah.
How were they ever supposed to go against it? And so the stories that end up getting told of these women, right, who escape, amazing stories, right? And it's just like, wow, you figured it out and you got out. You knew it was wrong. You didn't understand it, but you knew it was wrong.
Well, and the pain of that choice.
Yeah. They were rejecting their family. They were rejecting everything.
And it is the most extreme version of what a lot of what you and I and a lot of our listeners have gone through.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating, powerful microcosm of religion in general, and I highly recommend you go check it out on the Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, get it. Or find. I don't think there's any other way to watch Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, but
yeah, I think it's just on Netflix.
Yeah, I guess you could do a pirating thing. Anyway, do go watch it. I think it's very much worth the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then despair for humanity.
Cool.
Is that a good way to end the show? Is that a good note?
That's just where we are these days.
Yeah, it's
pretty much my only emotion that I'm capable of feeling is despair.
Oh, Lordy Jesus. Well, if you have seen it or have some commentary that you'd like to write into us about Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey or anything we've talked about on the show, please feel free to write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. Just go to thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Frank?
Sure do appreciate ya.
Ha ha! Take that, Davis! Bye, everybody!